The great Bobby Belt.
Bobby Belt is an idiot.
Don't make me take off my belt.
Don't make me take off my belt.
We're not.
Over to you, Bobby.
Who is in? Who is out? Who is going to piss you off when the Cowboys announce their 53-man roster? Let's talk about it in Below the Belt, which is sponsored by D&M Leasing and Window Nation. That's right, the two-time sponsor right over here, Chop. That's what I got. All right, so I started trying to work on the 53-man roster over the weekend after the Cowboys played their final preseason game. Got a victory, got a decent performance out of Joe Milton, saw some good performances from guys who probably needed to put him forward. Guys like Deuce Vaughn, Jalen Brooks, Ryan Flanoy. Saw some decent stuff at times from Mozzie Smith. Those are all good positives to have. Those are good things that you want to have in your on tape when you're getting ready to make these decisions and getting ready to head into your first preseason game. And as I started trying to cut this down, it felt like it was going to be a lot more difficult than by the time I got to the end of it. I think I had a pretty good sense of where the team was looking at a few different positions. So let's go down the list of what I think we're looking at for the Cowboys as they prepare to make their final decisions tomorrow, and had some discussions over the week. Sean mentioned it earlier. They've already started some of the cuts. Lyle Collins is now out. And they also mentioned that Trayvon Diggs is cleared. He will be on the active roster, it sounds like, to start the season. So there will be no issues in terms of trying to stash somebody through on PUP and then open up a spot that way. All right, so starting off, quarterback. Initial 53-man roster is going to be two, I think. I think it's going to be Dak and Joe Milton. And Will Grier, who is a vested veteran, they don't have to pass him through waivers. Will Grier, I think, will be cut, and then after that, they'll make whatever procedural moves they have to and hopefully bring him back, or they may sign him to the practice squad and have elevations with him.
How do you think Joe was better on Friday night compared to the first two games?
I just think you saw better touch on some of his throws down the field, some stuff where he was putting it on the money more consistently.
He was on time more,
showed
too.
the legs.
Yeah, he showed the legs. He didn't have as many of those throws where it's just like, where is that going?
There was a throw he made, pretty sure it was in the second half.
You watching this in Michigan?
I went to the bar to get food, right? I was going to get takeout. I just sat there. Because Sarah wasn't feeling well the last few days. She got some food poisoning.
In Michigan, they had Cowboys, Falcons on.
It was on NFL Network.
Oh, okay.
So, so I go, she wasn't feeling well, so I was like, all right, I'm going to run to the bar. I'm going to get something to eat. Like, I'll just get takeout. And while I'm waiting there, the game's on. So this is like, I think this is just the start of the third quarter. And there was a throw he made where he kind of rolls right, and he throws towards the sideline. And I thought for sure that he was going to hit the short receiver, maybe about 8 yards downfield. But he threw it like 25 downfield. And I was like, I was not expecting him to make that throw. I was like, all right, that's kind of what that pops the eye. That catches the eye.
Yeah, he was more consistent. It's still not consistent enough that you probably feel great about him, where you're like, man, he's ready to go, especially when he's 10 for 18, and it's, again, against a lot of backups and guys who were just out there getting their final game in. But overall, you feel better about some of the stuff that you saw. Because the big problem for him is not, can he make these throws in terms of can he thread the needle? He's got the arm talent to do that kind of stuff. It's just about seeing it consistently. Running backs, I think they're going to carry 4.
Oh, by the way, before we move off of quarterbacks, Bobby, you brought this name up last week in a hypothetical deal. I said I would do it. Trade, was it Jalen Tolbert for Sam Howell? The Vikings traded Sam Howell and a 6 to the Eagles for a 5th and a 7th. So there's Howie saying, Sam Howell will be good enough for us to maybe have on the roster. So the Vikings trade Sam Howell to sign Carson Wentz.
Look at that. It all comes back together once again. I'm stunned Carson Wentz is still hanging around even as a backup, because whenever he steps out there, it looks like a guy who is not comfortable out there in a way similar to Joe Milton at times. All right, running backs, 4 of them. Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Jaden Blue, and then Hunter Lipke included in that. So I think no Deuce Vaughn, no Phil Maffa. I think both of them are probably off the roster.
How much would it surprise you if Miles doesn't make it?
Man, you're out for Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
So you got a Miles vendetta all of a sudden. Where'd this come from?
It's not a vendetta. I would like, I'd like him to actually do something to earn a spot on the roster.
Well, what have you seen from Javonte? Why aren't you going after Javonte?
Nothing.
Why Miles?
No, I have no dog in the fight. They want to get rid of either one of them. Go ahead.
Okay, but why are you picking on Miles but not Javonte? You've seen the same amount from both.
That's a good point. I don't have anything.
Physical runner. He likes the toxic masculinity of just lowering your head and bowling over people.
And we saw, and I was wrong about this, we saw Deuce Vaughn blow up last year preseason. That meant nothing.
Nothing.
So who gives a rip what they're doing right now?
No, that's fair. That's fair. I just, I've seen some stuff on social media, like what's Miles Sanders done to earn the spot? It's kind of like Turpin. Turpin's a nothing, but everybody seems to love him. They're burying Tolbert.
I mean, Turpin's clearly, by everything they've done in training camp, been a big focus of what they want to do, though. But it's part of what they want to do. So, wide receivers, 5 of them, because I think Jonathan Mingo's going to open the year on IR. So you're going to have CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, your third receiver, Kevontae Turpin. And then I think you've got Jalen Tolbert the 4th. And then the final one is probably Ryan Flanoy. That's still a close race, I think, between Jalen Brooks and Ryan Flanoy. I think the Cowboys are going to try to get Holden on the practice squad, which Trayshawn Holden was a guy who had a couple drops in this game. Didn't step up the way he had in some other moments. But I also think it's a case of, even if he doesn't drop those passes, I think it's like, we love you, but man, it's going to be harder for us to slip some other guys through, and these guys have been here a little bit longer, and we trust them a little more, so we're going to make that move. Tight end, I think you're going to carry 3. Jake Ferguson, Luke Schoonmaker, Brevin Spann-Ford.
So both Michigan guys making it.
Yeah, because I do think Mozzie's going to be on. I think Mozzie was Mozzie might be guy 52, 53. Like, it's right there, I think. And I think it may just be a case of you don't have a lot of great options behind him. If Jonathan Hankins were still on the roster this year, you probably move on from Mozzie Smith, I would guess. Offensive line, Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Booker, Terrence Steele, your starters, obviously, which Tyler Guyton continues to progress. He was out there during some of the warm-ups the other day. That sounds like they think there's a real shot. He could be ready to go week 1. If not week 1, week 2. The guys I have making it, Johnny Cornelius, Hakeem Adeniji, who I think that's another one that might be near the back end of the roster there. TJ Bass, Brock Hoffman, Nate Thomas, who Nate Thomas would likely be your starting left tackle if Tyler Guyton can't go week 1. Defensive line, they're going to go really heavy here, I think. 11. So this will be Dante Fowler, Marshawn Nealand, Sam Williams, Micah Parsons, Osa Odigizua, Solomon Thomas, Jay Toia, Donovan Ezeraku, James Houston, I think is on. Ernest Brown, Mozzie Smith. I think Mozzie is the last one. That also means that one of your offseason additions, Peyton Turner, I think is going to be part of the cuts here. I would not be surprised if Turner's out in this instance. Linebackers, Kenneth Murray, Jack Sanborn, Maris Leofau, Damone Clark, Shamar James. I don't think that's surprising to anybody. Linebackers, pretty solid. And then the defensive backs, I think you've got 10. Trayvon Diggs, who is obviously his availability now has kind of changed the composition of the roster. Deron Bland, Kyer Elam, Zion Childress, Andrew Booth. Then I think you've got Troy Pride, Marquise Bell, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, and Wanye Thomas. Including that no Keemon Hall, who a lot of North Texas fans I think have liked, and a guy who's got some experienced reps with them at the end of last year and then into this offseason. And then maybe a bit surprising for me last week, but as the week went on, no Israel Mukwamu, who was playing really late into that game the other day for somebody who would be on the roster typically. And then the special teamers are Brian Anger, Brandon Aubrey, and Trent Sieg. So overall, and I should mention on the defensive backs, no Kalen Carson listed there. I think Carson's going to be one of their IR guys as well, starting the season off.
Brian Schottenheimer's star ups, by the way, against Atlanta. James Houston, Elijah Clark, DB Mike Smith, Deuce, Flanoy, Jalen Brooks, and Joe Milton.
Yeah, and I think a lot of those guys you're talking about there are guys that they're probably
What about my guy Troy Pride?
Troy Pride I've got on there. He would be like guy 53, somewhere around there. The guys that I think are off on this roster right now that are probably the toughest decisions and still may end up, because obviously this is just a projection. I think Deuce Vaughn is part of that, who he mentioned there. I think Princeton Fant, the tight end, is somebody that they could be looking at in that same way. And then I think when you look at, we already got some people on the fan text asking about this. Why no Perion Winfrey? I think Perion Winfrey is another guy who they would look at and like to keep if they could. I think it's just a matter of numbers game and some of the guys that they're keeping already and what they want to do with those guys. Like Ernest Brown, I don't think they anticipated being as impressed with him as they are. I think James Houston brought in here, that's taken up another defensive line spot because he was out there making plays for you and showing himself to be an effective rusher right out of the gate. So I think that's going to cause some of the tougher cuts. Again, Peyton Turner, I think, is out. That's just somebody who probably didn't do enough for them. And the fact that they would move on from somebody like Elijah Clark, who you mentioned, Mike Smith, those are guys who I think they would try to get to the practice squad. And the practice squad is obviously 17 members for Dallas. It's 16 for the whole NFL. Dallas then also has an extra exemption for Denzel Daxon as an international pathway player. So he would be on the practice squad as an extra player that they could carry. But overall, I think they're going to have to carry heavier on defense to start the season because they've got so many depth questions over there. Whereas it feels like the offense is pretty much set in terms of who they want, how they're going to be here. If Diggs plays week 1, now that he's on the active roster, I think then we're looking at Diggs and Elam are outside and Deron Bland's playing the nickel. And that's where he'll have to play. If Diggs can't go, now we've got a big question of who's going to even play the nickel at that point. It might be Zion Childress. It might be Andrew Booth outside. Since Booth, surprising some people, he was put on the shelf for the final game. They didn't even put him out there to play. That's usually a pretty solid sign that they like you and they have you here. And so I think both of those are pretty good indicators of how the Cowboys view their cornerback room stacking up heading in this first week.
Cowboys questions that matter after the final preseason game. By the way, coming up in about 20 minutes, we will talk Farmageddon with Brett McMurphy. We'll probably talk other college football things as well.
Are you excited? College football is about to begin, really? Last week, I understand what this weekend was, week 0.
Yes.
But it's really about to start.
I'm super excited, and I'm really excited to talk to Brett McMurphy. But also, we have our in-house person who knows more about college football than I could ever conceive to know about anything.
What's his name?
That's Carter Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
We will talk with him tomorrow. Because he's like, I'll let Brett go first, and then I'll clean it up for him.
Oh, wow.
That's a quote that I made up. All right, so Cowboys questions that matter. By the way, in all sincerity, about Brett McMurphy coming up, man, he's got a bunch of fire quotes about the SEC expanding to 9 conference games and how the ACC responded. We will talk about one of them. Is just incredible.
Fascinating.
All right. Cowboys questions that matter. Both of you gentlemen, I would like you to weigh in. I would also like to hear from the fans. 877-881-1053, Franklin Injury Attorney text line. Do you have any issues with Micah on Friday night? Because I know I'm supposed to think it's the biggest travesty in the history of sports, and I can't quite dial up that enthusiasm or that anger for it. Do you guys have an issue with Micah Parsons from Friday night?
Other than he wasn't playing, no.
Okay.
Like, he got some nachos and laid down on a training bench.
Right.
Okay. Like, all right, let's move on to the season now. Let's get this thing done.
Be more angry.
And honestly, Kevin, it's two sides of this. If you think it's just one being greedy, there's no way that's the case in this whole situation.
Oh.
This is two sides having a problem coming up with a resolution to the conflict, and not doing a very good job of communicating to each other on how to get this thing solved. So I don't have a problem with what's going on. It was a preseason game, and most of the guys didn't really care anyway.
Alec.
Except for the guys that were on the field, like they wanted to play,
James Houston cared.
Probably CeeDee Lamb, because CeeDee Lamb cares about everything.
That is true, man. You talk about, I know Michael Irvin is one of a kind. But if you talk about a receiver who also cares a lot about all aspects of the game, and if everything is clicking right, CeeDee Lamb is that dude.
I agree.
Alec, do you care, or are you upset with Micah Parsons from Friday night?
Kevin, it's the only thing I wanted to talk about today for 4
You're
hours.
Such a liar.
Just fed up? No, I really don't care. And I'm trying to remember who it was. It might have been Mike Leslie. It was somebody in the local media that was.
It was Mike Leslie, yeah.
That was maybe 5-10 minutes kind of thing. Like it wasn't even a majority. It wasn't even a quarter of the game that he was doing that. And hey, to his argument, you know what his excuse for not practicing on a medical side has been? Bad back.
Yeah.
You know what helps a bad back? laying down. So if he wants to use that as his argument, who am I to deny it? I don't know if his back is actually hurting or not. Somebody that has a bad lower back speaking here, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Did you feel like Shoddy tried to undercut that part just a little bit when he goes, his MRI for his back came out fairly clean?
Yeah, he did. And look,
What do MRIs know?
What's their success rate?
Yeah.
I feels like it's pretty high, right?
Sounds to me like a robot trying to do a human's job.
Oh,
you know?
And that scares me
I'm
now.
not okay with that.
As of like 2 hours ago.
We'll get an update on that in the show, I believe.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me, and I don't think it changes anything. I don't think it affects anything.
Is he's doing that week 1, though, I might have a problem.
Exactly. When the games matter, if he's not playing when he should be playing, and he's just not locked in whatsoever, then yeah, I have a problem at that point.
Would you have Mozzie Smith on your 53-man roster?
No.
You answer that so fast.
I feel like you have the positions, you have the people to fill it, and Mozzie. There's just if the reality of this defense is penetrate the offensive line, get into the backfield, wreak havoc back there, create lanes for your linebackers to go through without just being a hold 'em up guy.
Right.
Then Mozzie doesn't fit that for this team. If it is when he comes off the ball, he doesn't come off and fire a certain way that I want to see. He looks strong, but that strength is slow. It's not a fast strength, and I just don't think that he fits what this defense needs. And it just hasn't changed or grown or developed from what we thought we were going to get when we drafted him.
Did you say groaned?
Groaned.
Okay.
Oh.
Alec.
It's not a word.
I should
unless you groan in the past.
You have Mozzie Smith on your 53-man roster?
I mean, I will have groaned if he is on the roster. There you go, Corey.
Have you prepared yourself mentally for the fact that, come on, dude, that's going to happen?
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I think they're kind of screwed at the position either way in terms of just run stopping. I think it's done for. Like, all things accounted for, they're not going to be a good run stopping team. We haven't even started
the season, and it's done for?
I said run stopping. I didn't say the whole season. I just said run stopping itself. I think that's just a theme with this team. It feels like years over, a lot of teams have themes when it comes to certain areas, like one specific area. It's like no matter the coaching turnover or whatever, this team just sucks or they're really good at one thing, no matter what. And I think the Cowboys, just for now, are going to be a bad run-stopping team. So it's weird to say I don't really care. Like, I'd rather him not be on the team, but I don't think it really affects anything.
Bonus non-Cowboys question. What percentage, when you were growing up, of school dances were essentially themed A Night Under the Stars or some version of that? Because he's talking about themes.
Bonus question.
I feel like...
Why are you bringing this up?
I feel like every dance was like A Night Under the Stars or something like that. Like, for my senior prom, I was on student council, and they wanted to do like an Egyptian theme. I voted for that because I was like, man, that's totally different. But instead we came up with like A Night to Remember.
Night to Remember is the best, dude.
Stupid.
You don't want to forget those nights.
No, not at all.
Not if you're doing it right.
I feel like 3 of the dances I went to were A Night Under the Stars, A Night to Remember.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I'll ask you a football question again.
I remember all of them.
Oh, my God. Alec, do you remember all the dances you went to?
Yeah, my prom was a Great Gatsby themed. I remember that. And then I went to one other social in like 5th grade.
You wish they would have picked a better book.
Yeah, honestly. And the venue it was at fit, though, because it was old, super old. Not very impressive. But yeah, I think like 5th, 6th grade, there was definitely a Night Under the Stars kind of thing because I was on the committee for it. I remember planning it.
Sorry, Alec.
Yeah.
All right, next Cowboys question for you. All right, Alex says we should give up on our run stopping. It's not going to be good. I don't know if this question will fit. Do you think it's possible linebacker could be a strength of this team?
Yes, I do actually. And I understand what he's saying because what we saw were a bunch of different guys trying to figure out if they're on this team. You know, and I think that maybe it could be a little bit better with some of your starters. That's what I'm hoping. But I do feel like you have better linebackers than you had last year. That's something I'll say that I feel was improved this season. And if this defense, as we were just discussing, if they're disciplined in the way that they fill gaps, then I think they're going to do a fine job. But I have a lot of faith in the linebacking group this year. Actually, I felt like they were light at that position last year, not just in the physical size of them, but in the amount of people. Their depth wasn't very good, and this year I feel like it's better.
I thought they did enough in the offseason on paper for it to be like a respectable group. But watching some of these guys play, I've actually felt like this is more than a respectable group. This is like a legit group of linebackers, at least on paper. And we talked about Maris Taliafout all offseason, and I think he's only going to get better over time. But I do think the Kenneth Murray addition was underrated because I think that there's still a lot of untapped potential there. He hasn't been great in his NFL career, but he's got intangibles that can be worked around and that can be coached up to an even higher place. And then Jack Sanborn just being the perfect scheme fit for the Eberflus system and being successful just a year ago in that system, I do think it can be a strength of the defense.
And the bonus, this is going to be by far the best season of Damone Clark's career.
Hope so. What we saw in the preseason,
so?
I hope. No, I don't think so. Because I don't know how they're going to use him, Kevin. I hope so. I really do hope so, because if it is, dude, if he's plays the way that he did in the preseason and they convert that to regular season play, dude, we got studs back there then.
I felt like each of the past 2 seasons have been Damone Clark's year to figure it out and to get those reps and everything. So I'm scared. I'm a little gun shy to say, yeah, this is it. This is going to be the best. But I think the opportunities will be there for him. So I think he can maximize those. I think he's just going to get more chances to actually do what he's good at. And I think the preseason proved that. So I think this system is definitely going to benefit him. So I will cautiously be optimistic and say, yes, this will be the best year of Damone Clark's career.
Are you saying this will be the year that he puts it all together?
I think it is.
All right.
Just how important is Tyler Booker being good immediately to the success of this team?
Ooh. To the success of the team. I think it's... Let's go with a number grade, a percentage here, Kevin. I'm going to say 70%.
See, and I think I would have it even higher, like 85. That feels like something that is vitally important.
I mean, if they can run behind him and feel confident running behind the 2 guards, man, you're going to feel pretty good. But a lot still weighs on your left tackle, and who that's going to be, how good and productive they're going to be, and how that group works together offensively. But the rest, I mean, that defense... Does that make sense? Like I got to give 30% to the defense now too. But him being good immediately, I wonder how many games, Kevin, it's going to take you before you go, all right, we have officially replaced Zach Martin.
Oh, that is a
because this is a guy that
Can I just say we have a really good right guard? That feels like an impossibly high standard.
Full season, though, if he goes through and you're like, dude, he replaced Zach Martin.
If he is an all-pro as a rookie, then I will be like, well, hell yeah.
All right, there you go.
Second team is just fine.
Just as long as it's all pro.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, I made the Pro Bowl. Neat. All right, Alec, just how important is Tyler Booker being good immediately to the success of the team?
I think it is important. I don't want to levy expectations on him, but I think it would be important because we talk about how many running backs this team is probably going to carry, and none of them wow you. So if you're going to be rotating, if you're going to have situational play calling built around certain players, I would want some consistency along the offensive line. And on top of that, people started to annihilate Tyler Guyton last season, especially across the offseason, because he wasn't Pro Bowl status day one. And I think that's unfair, but it's going to happen.
Which we tried to warn people about, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we tried to tell people that wasn't going to be the case.
And with any other team in the league, That isn't the case.
Yeah.
But with this team, because of the expectations the team levies on their draft picks, it's going to happen. So just for his mentals, I think it's probably a good thing that happens.
Okay, speaking of Dallas, Michael Gallup, former Cowboys receiver, just got cut in Washington. So I think that's done. Appreciate the attempt at a comeback, but if you can't make the Commanders roster, then that might be a sign for you. And then in Las Vegas, wide receiver Jacoby Myers requesting a trade per source. They were unable to get an extension done. He is going into the final year of his contract at $10.5 million per year. So that'll be interesting for wide receiver needy teams. Cowboys are a what needy team? Corner and defensive tackle? What if I told you the biggest DT in the NFL is now available, Brian?
Who is that?
Oh, we know who that is.
Oh, big old
Desmond Watson,
4+ pounder.
He's been working on the asthma fields all training camp.
He's been doing remedial jazzercising, unable to get his weight down low enough. Tampa just gave up on him.
Did they release
He's your
him?
tush-push stopper, though. I mean, night one in Philadelphia, you don't want a 500-pounder there in the middle of your defense.
I don't think he can get out of his stance, man.
Did he?
I don't think he has to.
Did he? I mean, they were trying to get him to lose weight. Did he just not lose weight?
He didn't get to the point where they needed, for sure.
What were they trying to get him to, like 400?
I think they were trying to get him to certainly under 450.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he could get there.
I wouldn't have necessarily a weight stipulation. I just want to see you be effective. Whatever size that happens to be. That's tough, though. You do feel bad for the kid. I mean, the NFL future staring him in the face right there, and he can't be lean enough. Okay, what are your playoff chances? What do the numbers say? Cowboys most likely win total. I'm going to go 8-9, guys. That would be my official going into 2025 win total prediction for these Cowboys. And maybe I'll do like give or take two wins. I think as high as 10 and as low as 6 is actually possible if things go horribly wrong for this team. Pro Football Focus puts your playoff chances here. Playoff chances. What do you think if I asked you to give me a number between 1 and 100 percentage chances Cowboys make the playoffs this year? Guys, go.
Oh, I would say probably 25 to 30%.
I would say it's probably 25%.
25%. Wolchuk? Anybody over 25? 25 to 30 said Chief?
32%.
32%. That's good. That's real good. You guys are all over it. I would have actually gone lower. But Pro Football Focus, and they are basing everything off of scores and position group rankings, and they were not very kind to the Cowboys. They have them though as the overall the 18th best team with a 33% chance of making the playoffs. Okay, roster cuts due tomorrow at 3:00, guys. I think for me the biggest disappointment so far is that I think this Jerry hating to pay somebody who's not on the team thing is coming to roost again. It always does with lame duck coaches. Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy, I can't give you $5 million if you're not actually coaching this team. I think that's what's going down with Mozzie Smith. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. Going into a third, you've been talking for weeks, I think, since we got to Oxnard about the difficult decisions you have at wide receiver and edge and, the different ways that you guys are looking for roster spots. There's a clear roster spot right here. I mean, we're only taking 2 quarterbacks, right? Because you need roster spots. But,
this is the Al Davis and Jerry Jones that he doesn't want to give up on a player, and Mozzie has not clearly lived up to standards. So, I mean, that's where it really should start. But I'll say this though, we were talking about needing big body guys and stuff like that. Yeah. This defense is going to play without big body guys, is what they're going to do. They're just going to play. They're going to try and beat you with quickness. They're going to try and beat you just attacking gaps. They're going to try and fit behind anything that they do up front. I mean, it's going to be a lot of movement. It's a lot of, there's going to be some, it's not going to be the trash can full of dirt guys. It's going to be about how guys like Winfrey, that's how they're going to try and win.
Do you think this is going to be effective?
They have no choice. They don't have.
What do you think about their plan to stop the run this way? Can it work?
They can absolutely stop the run, but the problems you run into is, though, it's not about when you play with gap responsibilities. It's not about having size. It's about your ability to get in the gap and get up the field quick. You cannot get caught on a block. You cannot get pushed by if you're attacking a gap. And so that's where, is it effective? Sure. They played against the Ravens the other night where they had a crash end, and when you crash in, they had Sam Williams go inside. He's up the field. Then you got Clark over the top, or Clark filling to his left, and then Sanborn filling to his right. So you got three guys in the gap right there, and then now they've got the ball defended. That's how they're going to play, and it's not going to be about, because they're just not. They just don't have the size. That's why I think it's guys like Winfrey and Solomon Thomas and those. That's just what they're going to be. They're going Oso Digizua. They're going to be attack up the field, get gaps, and hit it and go. And we'll see. But they just don't have the bodies to play a defense any other way.
Yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, I think if they can't stop the run, then anything's possible with this football team. I'll just say that. But
they could stop the run. Yeah, like I said, they could stop the run if they play. Playing really good run defense isn't all about like 328-pound guys. It's about, can their front seven work together in order to
and they've all been bad at it in the NFL. Well, so the question is, does a scheme change it?
We were 5-11 3 straight years there in Dallas and Mike Zimmer had a light front where we played with Glover and Dexter Coakley and that win. We were a really light front. We were a top 10 defense.
Utilize the speed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a way that you can do it. I mean, with the linebackers, chase, rally, team tackling.
Yeah.
The
margin for error for it is really, really small.
And it could be chunk plays.
Chunk plays are going to happen for sure.
Yeah. Chunk plays will happen in the run game if the fits are bad.
All right, up next here in the C note. Did you guys feel a shift in how the world's looking at Micah Parsons, like compared to the start of training camp? Everything was anti-Jerry, the signs, the chants, the social media. And now I think I see more Micah Parsons is greedy, or what's it going to take to get, Micah Parsons to want to be a Cowboy. Then the laying down thing. I felt over the weekend a pretty big shift in the ether, if you will, on this. And I think part of it is, the headlines. But another part of it is what I'm picking up from DeMarcus Lawrence here, as he was on the Pivot podcast. This is so interesting because the two did not get along well. So Tank's trying to be as professional and respectful as possible and obey those rules, but he also makes sure to let his feelings be known. Here's Tank.
How close were you as we wrap? How close were you to hanging it up before deciding on Seattle?
I was pretty close, but, thankful for my family. My kids and my wife weren't ready for me to hang it up.
I'm sorry, Lucius. I think I must have sent you
They told me, why not give it another try?
I sent you the wrong
I had an opportunity to, sign with Washington. There's
you can bring that down.
That's a check.
My bad. He was talking about how it's difficult to speak on another man's contractual situation, but when it was his time to do this, he looked at it like it was a blessing that I was going to get double dipped. I was going to get my franchise tag and then be able to come back and add on to that. But he said for, every player, it's different. What'd you guys think about it? I was on Mad Dog Radio over the weekend, and it's out of New York, right? And the guy is just, really railing on Micah. And I was like, that's really interesting. Where'd this come from? And then I opened up social media, and I did feel like, and maybe this is Jerry Jones working it through the media in a way to continue to add pressure. Like, are you ready now for the fan base to not like you? They didn't like me, but wait until I share these details.
Yeah.
And the temperature got turned up on him pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of the buying the owner, taking the owner's side there versus the player. I mean, I'm always like, these players need to try and cash in and get as much money as possible. Like, it'd be great if your star said, hey, I'm going to take less and you're going to help build around me. But what I've always said, and I said this back to Dak, it's like, I don't know that you have that assurance with the Cowboys that they're going to do that necessarily. So unless you get it like in writing, hey, you leave us an extra $5 million, $10 million to play with, we're going to secure that you get X, Y, Z. Yeah, I mean, Micah, and especially with what he's playing with his agent, they're going to try and get everything that they can. And you also have NFLPA pressure that plays into that. So I don't know. I think you side more with the player, in my opinion, in this.
Yeah, but nobody likes Pouty. No, but even if you're on somebody's side when they're kind of moping and pouting around as a grown man, and that's kind of what that came across like when you're just laying on the trainer's table, closing your eyes during the game.
Yeah.
And then you add on to the fact that Jerry's doing the car wash and really spelling things out and putting his perspective on everything, and he's a hell of a salesman.
He is.
Sure is.
The number comes out and it's all over social media, and you're like, what could you possibly want more than this? You must not want to be a Cowboy. And I think, it's tough for me though with the incomplete bursts of information that we're getting out to really take one side too strongly or the other. I just think it's like an interesting view into how these big negotiations can play out.
Yeah.
Lyle Collins came to training camp. He played in some preseason and saw his career probably officially come to an end. There was some hope that he'd come in the best shape of his life, and he's still young enough, but it just wasn't there.
His workout was actually really good. His workout got him signed. The problem is Lyle Collins can't move like he once did. And that's the bend, and he's really good for a first quick step, and then after that, the longer he has to play, the harder it is for him. So he did. I'll tell you what, physically he looked fine. I mean, he lost a lot of weight and all that, but the movement skill is just not there.
And in some years, maybe he would have found himself on the team, but this offensive line depth is like too deep at every position.
Yeah, they have to make a decision whether they want to keep 9 or 10 right now, depending on how that is. I think we'll get into it, Krusty's Corner, here in a little bit about where they might go with some of this.
We have trades inside the division. The Eagles making some moves here at their backup quarterback spot. They got Sam Howell to Philadelphia, and the Vikings then signed veteran Carson Wentz to back up J.J. McCarthy, so he's back in the league.
How about that? Still staying alive, still cashing checks.
Finding a way, man.
That is crazy.
It's good. He's still only 32 years old, so we might be seeing this for
same range as Dak.
You could have like a 60-minute montage of just Carson Wentz football follies.
It's crazy how he looked so good early on. And then
he had that one great year.
Ended up becoming just a player that's kind of a punchline at this point, and still at a very young age, 32.
Really sensitive player, very sensitive. Kind of heard everything. When they tell you that, I don't look at anything, I don't hear anything, and all that. Nah, he was the complete opposite.
He paid attention to all of it.
He paid attention to everything said about him.
He got worse the more feedback that he saw on Twitter about him.
Yeah, absolutely. He got hurt, and then all of a sudden his career started going south, and then. He never was great when it came to always some of the decision making he was making that he was using, and that I think that ultimately is what got him. Is it just a turnover machine? You couldn't trust him at all.
I mean, his athleticism got him out of a lot of jams. Made a lot of big plays.
Then he got hurt, and that was kind of the end of him.
Yeah, it's a tough eval. Like how good is this player really, and how are they going to age? I could have never guessed that Carson Wentz would have collapsed from near MVP all the way to. We don't even want to see this guy in a game, and took until the end of training camp to get signed.